I thought I would come to you from my natural environment this morning. I spend every morning that I can out here in the front driveway in the sun. It's a little windy today, so hopefully you can hear me okay. But I wanted to talk about the last week of my recovery. I did a video at 3 days to talk about how the first 3 days after surgery went after my mastectomy. And it's 10 days now, so I want to talk about kind of the week after the first 3 days and how that's gone. So this is part of my routine, just sitting out in the sun as much as possible in the morning, and there's a bee that is flying into my lens. I think it's occupied now. The pain has definitely shifted and changed. After the first 3 days, I was not taking gabapentin and Tylenol every 3 hours. I just cut back to gabapentin. I kind of, over about a day, weaned myself off of Tylenol. And now I just take 100 milligrams instead of 200 of gabapentin every 6 hours. And that seems to be pretty necessary still, even at 10 days. Every day there's a little bit more pain, mostly in the area of my pectoral muscle here. I no longer have that buzzing though, that feeling that I had a little bee or a fly stuck inside of me here. That just lasted a couple of days on day 3 and 4. I just have a little bit of pain, and I can feel it on both sides. I can feel it with the touch here. I can feel it every time I move or take a step or cough or sneeze. And then I can also feel it behind the pectoral muscle as well when I take a drink of cold water. So I imagine that's because they had to peel the fascia off of my pectoral muscle, and that might be a little bit of a trauma spot where there's some nerves that are still alive. The nerves that would have gone into my breast are definitely not there. There's a lot of numbness to the touch. And I'm sure there will be for a long time. But deeper down there is some pain. Other than gabapentin, I do take a curcumin supplement and Boswelia together. I take 1,000 milligrams of curcumin and 100 milligrams of Boswelia as needed, anywhere in between my gabapentin. So it's not like regimented. It's just kind of when I start to feel pain, which is usually a couple hours before I need to take my gabapentin again. The main source of my pain for days 4, 5, and 6, and the morning of day 7, was my drain. I had pain underneath my breast where the drain was kind of lining the area down below where my breast used to be, and a lot of pain right here where the drain came out of my body. And I was very eager to get the drain taken out at day 7. I asked them if they would take it out at day 4 or 5, and they said no, even though I was experiencing some burning and some really kind of deep bruising. I had some maroon colored bruises right here on my side, just above where the drain kind of came toward the exit point. It was definitely associated with my drain. But I sent pictures to both doctors, both surgeons and their staff, and they came back with an answer saying no, not a big deal. They were very sudden bruises, and they were very red, so it was good that I checked in with them. But they said no, I needed to wait till day 7, which was probably for the best because my fluid levels did not go down to under 20 milliliters per day until probably day 5. So I got my fluid levels down just in time to get my drain out at day 7. Everybody's different in that respect, but I was very happy to have the drain out. And I did use my EMLA cream. This stuff here, it's a prescription lidocaine and prilocaine cream. It's 2.5% lidocaine, 2.5% prilocaine prescription cream that I asked for before my surgery, and I had applied this the day before my surgery all over the place, just to numb it and keep it numb for the sake of chronic nerve pain long term. There's been some studies saying that this works pretty well for that in advance of surgery. So I had this already. I hadn't used much of it after surgery because they said not to. But I used this the morning of, before I left to get my drain out. I used it all over the area where my drain was so that it wouldn't be painful when they took the drain out. And to my surprise, it was not painful at all when they took the drain out. I could feel it coming out, but it wasn't painful. In terms of my activity level in the last week, it has definitely slowed down. So days 1 through 3, I had more energy and more mental capacity, I think, than I have in the last week. For the last week, I've needed my husband to remember when I took my gabapentin for me and kind of track it for me and remind me. And then when my husband hasn't been here, I've used the timer on my phone and set it for 6 hours. And then every time it would go off, I would reset it for 6 hours. Now, of course, I don't do this in the middle of the night. I let myself go 2 or 3 hours without taking it if it lands in the middle of the night, because I don't want to wake myself up to take it. It's not that important for my pain relief. I can go a few hours without it. I played Rummikub with my friend yesterday, and I was surprised that my brain only lasted about 4 hours. So I was just kaput after that. I had to do something very mellow that just did not require any brain activity at all. So my mental capacity is also pretty limited still. I can't do much reading because my eyesight is affected by the gabapentin as well. So I've tried watching TV, but it really is not fun for me to watch TV for any long period of time. It kind of depresses me. So I've scheduled friends to visit and have some kind of activity either at home or nearby with friends. So today I'm going to be going to lunch with a friend at the food cart community that is just a couple small towns over. I'm still using these little cotton pads to clean my armpits, like sponge bath clean, but these days I'm using this hydrosol, frankincense hydrosol, instead of that witch hazel, because the witch hazel was a little too stingy and probably too much alcohol. So I just spray the pad till it's saturated, and I can feel now the coldness of it. It's not numb in my armpit anymore. After 10 days, the nerve block, I think, has completely worn off. So, and the frankincense is strong enough in its disinfecting powers that I think it does a pretty good job. On day 7, after I had my drain removed, I started applying manuka honey to my wound. So this is the first thing I've applied to my wound. And I got this manuka at a health food store. It's a little expensive compared to normal honey. It's from New Zealand, and it's got 30 plus MGO. So definitely look for a 30 score on yours as well. I just apply it with a little popsicle stick, and apply it with a little bit of turmeric oil for pain, and put the two together. They don't mix well. They're not like gonna blend together for you. I have them actually in this little container here. It's a little brown glass container. And if you heat them up a little bit over some hot water, then you can get them to blend a little, but they don't perfectly mix. But I just kind of swab it on. You could probably use a Q-tip, but you're gonna lose a lot of the turmeric oil in the cotton of the Q-tip. So I use something that doesn't absorb it. And I just put a kind of a thin layer on, and then put a large Band-Aid. You can find Band-Aids that have kind of a flexible film that is waterproof. That's the best kind to use. And then I make sure and take the Band-Aid off when I'm laying in the sun for part of the day. I like to get some air on the incision wound as well, just to make sure that it's getting some fresh air and not just stifled by a Band-Aid all day. This little ice pack has been a real treat, and I had no idea how good it would be. Just the shape and size of it. It can either go in my armpit or over my breast. It doesn't last very long, and it's not super cold like a lot of like pure ice is. It's a gel pack. So I definitely prefer this one to the ones that they gave me, the disposable ones they gave me that I showed in my last video. Those ones leak, and they're a little too cold, and they're just a weird shape. Like you can't lay it flat in the freezer and get like a flat layer of ice in it. They also melt really quickly if you try to put just a thin layer of ice in it. So I really like these. Try to just get your own before surgery is my recommendation. This one has been really great for me. It lasts about an hour, and then you have to put it back in the freezer. In terms of my emotional response to looking at my incisions, I took it really slowly. I kind of peeked at it on day 8 and then fully looked in the mirror for, a full minute on day 9. I just waited until I was emotionally strong and ready and felt supported emotionally. And, I don't love my incision scar lines. I may have to go in for another surgery. I'll save that story for another video, but I don't love them, and they're definitely puckered and ripply, and I just have no idea what they'll look like a year from now, so I'm trying not to get attached to the way they are now. They're definitely going to be changing. I still have a lot of bruising, mostly yellow bruising. I don't have much black and blue, just that one little spot that I showed you in my last video is a little bit blue or purple, but most of this area is still yellow. And I stopped using this arnica gel on day 7 when I started using the manuka honey. I didn't want to overlap them. And I felt like arnica gel is mainly for bruising. It's a little bit for pain too, but mostly for bruising. And so I just stopped using it after day 7, thinking it probably isn't necessary to use the arnica after the first week. I'm really glad that I haven't been too emotionally upset by the sight of my flat chest or my scars. I just keep telling myself that they're going to change a lot and they'll be faded and I will barely see them a year from now. And I think telling myself that really helps. So in terms of the clothes that I'm wearing, this outfit is by far my favorite. If I had to describe it, it's like a faux cashmere. It's a polyester and it's very stretchy, but it's mostly just very, very soft on the skin. And I really like my camisole that I showed you in my last video. I still wear that most of the time. And I have that prosthetic, spongy kind of fiber fill prosthesis that I can put in. I put it in for a few hours each day into either my camisole or my, I guess the pink bra is called a Elizabeth Pink compression bra. So I put it into either one of those on a daily basis and just make sure that I have bandages or a band-aid over my actual incision so that the soft, melty manuka honey doesn't get all over my camisole or my bra. But the temperatures are so nice this time of year. I don't need to bundle up. I don't get cold. So this outfit of a really soft polyester has been my favorite. It's also super stretchy at the neck, so I can just, pull it down to take it off and pull it over my head. So lots and lots of room in the armholes, which is really important. When I went, the day of my surgery, I went to look at all of my shirts to choose one, and I realized not very many of them had big armholes. So I chose one that was yellow, which is not my color at all, but it was a yellow button down, kind of sleeveless, but it had large armholes, and I thought, okay, that's going to be really important. So I've really shot for wearing most of my shirts that are button down and have large armholes. Unless I'm going to a nice place that I want to not look like I'm a hospital patient, and then you probably want the smaller armholes that cover up the camisole here, because it is kind of ugly even in these little edgy spots. So my mood is great. I'm really grateful for gabapentin. I can't imagine being able to live life without it right now. I've tried and it's way too painful. So I only have 3 more days on my current prescription, so I will try again to live without the gabapentin after 3 more days. And next week I'm actually going to be going to a writer's retreat. Hopefully my brain will have the capacity to enjoy and use it well. We'll see. I signed up for it a long time ago and I decided not to cancel it, and so I'm going to be taking my camper van and my sister's going to be driving and hanging out while I go to the retreat at the beach, which will be really nice. So at least I'll get some beach time, even if my brain doesn't digest all of the information that's being taught in the writer's retreat. So that's my next challenge, and I'm really looking forward to getting away from my home. I'm kind of tired of being here. And there's been a little rain, so I don't have to worry about my garden and plants getting watered. So I will check in with you soon and let you know about that change in plans and possible second surgery for me and how the Goldilocks mastectomy worked out. I haven't really talked about that either. So my next video will be around those things, and I will see you then. Bye bye.